As a black person between the age of 16 and 35, you are more at risk of getting killed by the police than you are more at risk of getting an STD from unprotected sex. Makes you wonder. In this era of democracy and freedom, you would think all men are free until you come across a black man and you'll be amazed. Amazed at how we manage to stay sane in the midst of all the meant when you are a desert staple for oppression and police brutality. We just go through it, never forgetting the pain, but always remembering that there is hope. You see, depression is a thing here, but resilience is more consistent. No wonder they say black don't crack. But how do you explain that to the broken father who now mourns his son? The broken wife who now has to take her kids on prison visits, and every broken child who now has been made fatherless by one careless pull of the trigger. And yes, all lives matter. But not all lives have been placed in a zoo for entertainment, bought and sold and bought again like a piece of furniture, lynched, segregated, denied opportunities, exploited, and even massacred. It's a nightmare. So when a black man tells you his life matters, listen closely. Those words mean so many things. He's telling you that he feels like a king who can't find his way home. That he is too afraid to fall in love because he may not live long enough to watch the product of that love grow, and his kids may never know their father because daddy is on death row. She's telling you that she might be raped, abused, and even killed, and no one will care. That he knows his ancestors came here in cages some 400 years ago, and he is afraid freedom does not apply to him because he is more than likely to be put in a cage today. They call it prisons now. He's telling you that his father was asked, "What you doing out here, boy? A king, now far away from home with no respect befitting of one. He's 60 and still called a boy. Because he's just a boy, lost and alone in a strange land, and no manhood ain't for black people. And he knows to be quiet so he won't be silenced. What you doing out here, boy? Put your hands where I can see them, boy. And anything you say can and will be used against you because you just ran a red light, boy." And he knows that he might get shot for pulling out his ID because black men don't need identity. And the perspiration and pumping of his chest in fear can be seen as aggressive behavior to a bully cop who will then proceed to administer shots to calm his nerves. And he knows that he might get stepped on the neck till he calls out mama for the last time for pulling out a fake $20 bill. Or he might be the first to confuse Officer Kimmy that a gun feels like a taser. And his very existence be reduced to a trending hashtag like that is all he ever lived for. Like a lifetime deprived can be replaced by GoFundMe accounts and wrongful death settlements. You can say their names for posterity's sake, but I bet you they all didn't want to be martyrs. They simply wanted to live. There's so much in the words of a black man. Pay attention. He'll try to be believable at least because he knows he doesn't deserve to die, but he just might. And he doesn't talk like a free man because his words might very much be used against him, even if all he said was, "I'm innocent." And somehow, he thinks that there is freedom for him somewhere across the Atlantic, where his ancestors were stolen from their palaces, snatched from their beds and from their farms, and he longs to go there. He hears the sound of glorious Africa calling, but Africa doesn't sound so glorious. It is not the sound of victory songs he hears, but the sound of wailing mothers and the cries of raped daughters. He hears fathers calling to their sons, and they're nowhere to be found. Tonight, their beds will lie empty, if at all they will have any come morning. And the dark African sky is full of clouds with no silver linings. And the wind is musty with anguish. And the stars shine down but not there. And the sound of injustice fills the streets. And the cries of the youths protesting. Enough! Is justice by peace or no justice at all? Even the streets of Twitter says it all. Mother Africa was fed with the blood of her own children. And the seeds they've planted in her have born hashtags. And everyone is running. Running here and running there, running to nowhere, like a people lost because things just fell apart. His brothers at home fighting the same battle, same horror story but a different movie. Stop killing us seems to be the mantra of all black men. When does it end? He feels close to home, but he realizes he's too far from freedom because there is no freedom here. Freedom is like a mural on a flag spray painted with the blood of our citizens. Green, white, green with a touch of blood. Freedom is just a mirage. And those who scream freedom have been bound by death. Who knew the price to pass Lekki toll gate would one day be blood? So, This Black Death will continue to loom on every black man and woman, home and abroad, until we find the cure to this madness and refuse to remain prisoners in this dungeon for the mad, this mental prison of Western exploitation, xenophobia, apartheid, racism, tribalism, and all the isms typical of black existence, because no one can set free a slave who doesn't want to be saved. So wake up, black man. Anger is but a fleeting emotion. Should we continue to remain slaves when our brothers and sisters seek to be avenged? Should we continue to think that gags are jewelry and the land flowing with milk and honey lies somewhere across the Atlantic? Should we continue to think that help comes from somewhere else than within? Should we continue to become their charity project, or aren't we tired of the handouts and freebies? Should we continue to become a needing continent, ravaged by foreign debts and a system that has kept us poor and in chains? No, now is the time to look inwards, to fight the demons and break the chains and shackles that have bound our minds for centuries, to be free to know who we are as kings and not beggars, to become a self-sustainable generation. For all the black lives that didn't matter and all the lives lost in the Lekki Massacre, until their names are heard and justice is served, until African bodies are no longer trending hashtags, until their troubled souls can finally rest in peace, until every black man and woman is free, until the sounds in Africa is heard victorious, until Martin Luther King's dream is no longer the white man's nightmare, until we become accountable and cease to become the one-stop shop to their charity organizations. Until then, this fight will not end.